All right. That's never happened before. We dropped right at the beginning. But anyways, here we go. The Utah Jazz and Boston Celtics came right down to the wire. The Celtics were up by over 20 at one point, and the Utah Jazz brought it back. They were tied with like 5 minutes left, and then the Boston Celtics end up pulling away. Just a little bit. This Celtics team rested a lot of their main players, but they still had Jaylen Brown, still had Drew Holiday, Derek White, and Peyton Pritchard off the bench, who is looking like sixth man of the year candidate. I don't know if he'll get it, but he's certainly there in the running. The Jaylen Brown kind of struggled shooting the ball tonight, to be honest. 0 for 5 from 3, 8 for 20 from the field. The nice thing was that he does get to the line tonight a lot. 11 free throws is great, and that was enough to really make him have an efficient night. 7 assists and 8 rebounds. That's just great work from Jaylen Brown with Jason Tatum off the bench. So nice night for him. Obviously, he'd probably prefer to have his three-point shot falling, but you're not going to have perfect nights every single night. Derek White is such a nice defensive player. It's kind of interesting that duo of Derek White and Drew Holiday. We'll see. I think to me, my pick for the finals is the Celtics and the Thunder. The question for this Celtics team is, does Drew Holiday have enough in the tank, along with Derek White, to be able to get the win and the championship for the Celtics again this year? That's going to be fascinating to watch. Drew Holiday is such an awesome, awesome defender, but the older he gets, the more he's going to slow down. And this does feel like, to me, kind of like that last year where they can win the title with him being kind of that defensive focus. I don't know if he's going to be quite this same level. It's just impossible for him to be an elite defender forever. And so we'll see. Does he have enough in the tank to help this Celtics team get another championship? We will find out. All right, the Utah Jazz, they lose this one, but they brought it back. They had some nice nights from multiple people. John Collins, obviously 40% from the field isn't the greatest thing. His three-point shot wasn't falling tonight. Thank goodness, because Utah tied it up at the end. If he shoots it well from 3, this game might be a lot different, but he still ends with 28 points, 10 rebounds, 2 assists. John Collins is just legit good, and it's surprising that there wasn't a team out there that traded for him at trade deadline. He's fantastic, and it kind of makes you think about this idea that once a player kind of has this moniker, whether it's John Collins that he's overpaid, it's hard to get back out of that. Like, once you're perceived as not as valuable as your contract, it's hard to make it seem like you still are. And I think John Collins has done that, but Utah has 2 of those players where it's like the perception of them compared to their contract, not great. And that's John Collins and Collin Sexton, neither of whom got traded this trade deadline. John Collins, he is legitimately worth his contract. I don't know if there's another team out there that believes that, like maybe people who watch him night after night, and how the Jazz have to rest him because otherwise they nearly win games, kind of like they did tonight. But he's worth it, and I wouldn't be surprised if this offseason if there isn't a team out there that might be willing to trade for him and have him on an expiring. And I don't know if he gets paid the same amount he has now, but I don't think it's crazy to think he should get something not that far off. He's really good. Yeah, he's not a high-level defender, but man, does he do everything really nicely. Shooting the ball, rebounding. He's a smart player. He's tough. I like John Collins. It's going to be kind of too bad if they trade him this offseason, but obviously it's something they probably have to do. Walker Kessler is just really solid. 10 rebounds, 11 points, 1 assist, and 2 blocks. Just solid night from Walker Kessler. He just is such a force on the offensive rebounds. Tonight he had 6, and it seems like every night there are teams, and you saw it tonight with the Celtics, they are having to really focus on Kessler on those offensive boards, because when they don't, he just punishes them. And tonight he got 6 of them in 31 minutes. He's just such a force on the offensive boards. It's one of his biggest weapons, actually, along with his rim protection and some of the other things. He's got to figure out the free throw line, but look at that, 60% from the free throw line. I'd say if Walker Kessler is 60% or better from the free throw line, you got to be happy with what you're getting. Collin Sexton did not have a great night tonight. I mean, look at this, 16 points, 13 assists. I guess maybe the stats would disagree. 13 assists is pretty wild. I don't know what his career high is, but that's fantastic. But he just doesn't defend particularly well. 6 for 16 from the field is the thing that he really struggled. He just did not hit his shots tonight at a high level. But you got to give him credit. I guess I'm changing my narrative right now. 13 assists is good work. It's funny because I was going to talk about a little bit. Some of the lobs he was throwing were not good, and he still managed 13 assists. That's crazy. I didn't even really. That's pretty wild. So nice night from Collin Sexton distributing the ball for sure. Just shooting it was not great. Although it's funny, 2 of his 6 field goals were threes. So he just was not hitting his 2-point shots tonight. Isaiah Collier, 3 for 5 from the field. He had a nice smooth 3 near the end of the game with the game on the line. 8 points, 4 assists. He had 10 assists last game. He's really come down to earth a little bit since winning Rookie of the Month. Teams are kind of focusing on him. Minus 14 tonight. Although, you got to give these guys a little bit of slack because you're playing against the literal reigning champion Boston Celtics, but he showed some real moments tonight, and it's nice to see him having positive field goal percentages, which is so much different than what we saw to start the year. And, to see him take that corner 3 with confidence and knock it down, that's nice to see. So, nice job by Isaiah Collier. Svi Mikhailuk has not been playing well recently. He got the interesting thing with him tonight. He gets his championship ring before the game with all the different Celtics. Lots of connections here tonight between the Jazz and the Celtics when you consider Svi Mikhailuk, Danny Ainge, Will Hardy. I think it's Justin Mazzulla, who is Joe Mazzulla's brother. A lot of connections between these two teams. So I don't know. It's just noting that that's something. It's not anything. That's bad analysis. I don't care. Not much else to say about Svi Mikhailuk other than I'm not quite sure why the Jazz signed him at all. It's not hurting the Jazz. It's not really helping them either. It doesn't make a ton of sense. I would much rather have like a G League player or an undrafted rookie or someone like that than Svi Mikhailuk. That's just a weird signing. I don't know. That never really made sense to me. I'm sure there's some reason that maybe we don't know about, but I don't know. Not a lot of sense to me. Kyle Filipowski, he continues to shoot the ball well. Tonight he was 0 for 3 from 3, but he's been at 39% more or less. I bet he's now at 38, but he's just been shooting the ball so well. 5 rebounds for him, 1 block. They really took it to him, and so, this was a great growing experience for Filipowski, who's been kind of lighting up the bad teams. So nice to see Filipowski thriving there. Johnny Neva, I fell asleep before the game started and just woke up from a 20 sack nap. Awesome. KJ Martin, I don't know. He's really kind of tapered off. He's worth kind of holding on to see, what he has. And maybe Utah takes him on next year and has him play a lot just to kind of be with a team next year that's likely going to be bad. But, there are times where we see KJ Martin have some moments, especially with his strength and athleticism. Didn't see that tonight. All right. I want to talk about Cody Williams. I was watching him a little closely, and he makes a lot of smart plays. I think Cody Williams is going to be fine in 16 minutes. There was one stretch where Cody Williams screened off a player so Bryce Sensabaugh got an open 3. Bryce Sensabaugh doesn't get the open 3 if Cody Williams doesn't screen him off. Then on the other end, Cody Williams goes and rebounds the basketball. We also watched him defend a Jaylen. Let's go look at it right now. This blocked shot was kind of incredible. This is Cody Williams guarding Jaylen Brown in one-on-one. And Jaylen Brown had broken Kessler's ankles right before. Look at that. That's crazy stuff. Kessler got his ankles broken. He also kind of dominated all the other Jazz perimeter defenders. And watch what Cody Williams does here. This is good stuff. Boom. No foul. Block shot. You got to like it. That's good stuff. There's some real reasons to have some hope for Cody Williams. 3-point shot, 1 for 2. I think he's shooting 43% from 3. In fact, let's just look at it. Basketball Reference. Let's go to Cody Williams. And when was All-Star break? Game logs 2024-25. 3 is almost at 30%. He started off so badly. But look at this. When was All-Star break, wasn't it? All-Star break 2025, February 16th. Okay, so I thought it was February. So you look, so since February 21st, look at what he's doing. He's shooting 41% from the field, 42% from three. That's a good sign, right? And that's, it's not on a ton of attempts, but it's 2.6. That's not nothing. Uh, you know, Something to be kind of excited about. 41% from the field, 42% from three. Pretty nice. Now, can it get better? Absolutely. But those are some real positive signs from Cody Williams. And then when you combine that with the defense and him just kind of improving, he was a plus 14 in this game. I don't know. 1 for 2 from three, 2 for 4 from the field. Not going to lie, pretty excited about it. And I think he can just get better. He's only going to improve. And really, it's just mental. Just can you be mentally tough, improve, stronger, more confident, all those things. And, the weight room will help as well. But he just needs to be more confident, get some more strength, not necessarily get bigger, but just get stronger, And if he can work on that shot, work on some of the things he needs to work on, I'm sure the Jazz will work with him. Fantastic. Pretty happy about it. It's going to be a lot slower road for Cody Williams, but it's certainly looking like a possibility. There's some light at that end of that tunnel now, where it was looking pretty not great before. All right, guys, there's not a lot else to say. We had an incredible night, though, for the Tank. Washington almost won. Almost. I mean, I guess the doors fell off at the end of the game, but they were really close to getting a win against Toronto, who won tonight. They're now 5-5. Toronto fans got to be losing their minds because Toronto keeps winning. Washington had won 2 in a row before this game, so 4-6 in their last 10. How incredible would that have been if they? But the big game that also helped out the Jazz is the Charlotte Hornets won again. Charlotte's now won 2 games in a row, and that locks Utah into the number 2. Utah now is a game up in the win column against Charlotte, so that makes Utah even more solidified at the 2. This number 1 spot is absolutely in play. Utah is doing a great job of losing these games, and they're going to get close, and I think the number 1 spot is absolutely in play. We got to watch Washington like a hawk. They're terrible, but if Washington wins, 3 more games, and if Utah can lose literally every game for the rest of the season, which they very well might, then Utah has a chance to take the number 1. And why is that important? Everyone who says, 14% chance, block those people. Those people don't know what they're talking about. Yes, it's a 14% shot at the number 1 pick. But guess what? It's a 52% shot at the top 4. And it's also locking in your spot. So the worst case scenario, if you're number 1, like right now, worst case scenario for Washington, let's say disaster strikes and they get jumped by 4 teams. Guess what? The worst case is number 5. So you get the number 5 pick for your troubles. Really nice. And Utah needs that because right now, worst case scenario is number 6, which is fine. But I'd like to have the number 5 pick locked in. Utah has to make that happen. That loss against Washington was massive. And I think Utah plays Washington one more time. They're basically going to run the bear out there to run the point guard. Honestly, that game is going to be massive because that right there, if they lose that game against Washington, that is clutch. Absolutely clutch. And when you look at this, remaining schedule strength, look at this. Utah has the 3rd toughest schedule remaining right now. And that was, I guess, they got to play Boston again, it looks like. I don't know. But look at this. They got Washington one more time. Now, where's Washington? Washington has one of the easiest schedule. They play the Raptors, the Nets, the Sixers, who are going to try to lose those games, the Bulls, the Blazers, and the Jazz. If they lose that game against the Jazz, I think the Jazz get the number 1 spot. Absolutely. And then you look at like the Charlotte Hornets as well. Charlotte's got a little bit more tougher way to go, but look, Utah plays them one more time. It's time to lock in Utah. They've already locked in. I'm proud of the Jazz for what they're doing. They have never been more competitive now. And I think that's what I want to end on this, is that anyone who says tanking is Anyone who says anything about tanking other than it is absolutely an organization 100% in on a championship is not to be listened to, because that's what this is. This is the hardest the Utah Jazz have ever gone for a championship in the history of the franchise, and that includes with Malone and Stockton. They have never done this before because they know that this is the way to get a superstar. You do not get a chance at Cooper Flag if you do not do this. If you do not do this, you do not get a superstar. And if you do not have a superstar, you do not get a championship. So this is what the Jazz are doing. It is 100% the right thing to do. And you've got to be excited if you're a Jazz fan. And now look at this. Utah goes into next season. They are going to go for the top 8 pick. They are going to do it again. If they win this lottery, let's say they get top 4 in this lottery and top 4 in the next lottery, they're probably ready to go at that point and ready to actually build. But you can't get there if you don't get 2 top 3 picks in a row. You just got to. 2 top 4 at least in this draft and the next one. Utah needs a top 3 pick in this draft and a top 3 in the next. If they can get Ace Bailey, I think they got a star on their hands. And then next year, if you can get lucky too, then you also have a star on your hands, and then you're ready to absolutely build. And next year is going to be more fun than this year, guys, because they're going to trade off, if they can, John Collins and Collin Sexton. Next year, think about this. If you win the Cooper Flag sweepstakes, you're watching Cooper Flag all year. You're watching Taylor Hendricks come back. You're watching the Jazz get their Minnesota pick, which is at 20 right now. But there's some nice players in that range. You know, if Utah can hit and get a role player with that pick, that's nice. I think Utah's going to... This is... man, if this Yegor Demon can just drop to Utah with the Minnesota pick, I'll be excited. But anyways... Next year's going to be a blast. Utah's going to get a top 8 pick. They are going to absolutely have a wild offseason this year where they're going to make some trades I think are going to shock some people. From some of those reports you see, I think Jazz fans are going to get some big surprises, at least the casuals who haven't been paying attention. For everyone who's watching this and knows what they're doing and are following it close, you guys know what's up. Utah needs this, and they're doing a great job, and we should be absolutely ecstatic as Jazz fans. This is the way. This is the way. All right, that's everything tonight. Let's start the music, guys. And we've got the Utah Jazz doing the absolute best job they've ever done going for a superstar. This is the only way to do it. I don't know what the Jazz thought they were doing for the last 30 years. But it certainly didn't lead to a title. So they decided to change, which is good. All right, we're back. Sorry, that's twice my internet's dropped, guys. I'm so frustrated. All right, if the lottery was tonight, what would happen? Utah gets the number 2. Cooper Flag goes to the Spurs. That's a nightmare. But at least Utah Jazz keep the number 2 pick. They get their choice between Dylan Harper and Ace Bailey. Man, if the San Antonio Spurs win the number 1 pick, I'll be so sad. Also, some interesting notes. The Philadelphia 76ers lose their pick. The Washington Wizards fall to 5. VJ Edgecombe to the Portland Trail Blazers. But the best thing possible for Utah is they did not drop. They held their spot, number 2, baby. And they get either Dylan Harper or Ace Bailey. Have to be ecstatic about that. Another win. That's 6 out of 7 nights the Jazz have won the lottery. And when I say won the lottery, they got their ping pong ball selected in the top 4. That's what you need. All right, guys, let's give a shout out to our All-Stars tonight. Let's give a shout out to Christian House. Wait, we got to reload this just to make sure. We got to make sure, guys. All right. Shout out to Christian House, Money to Haas. Cam Bam, thank you, ma'am. Cam Chin 3, Ryan Edward Perry, the legend. I believe in Steve Jazz Exile. Baby Elliot Matson. See ya, Alexa later. Jordan the Goat, Best Row. Austin R. Grant, Editor Extraordinaire. KG10 to TH5, the OG. And Patrick Akubo, the connoisseur. Guys, like and subscribe.